Well, hi everybody. It's Jane from Living Skies Vintage. First of all, I want to say how delighted and honored that I feel about being invited to do this streamathon, the Valentine Zines Day streamathon with Raul Reynolds and all the rest of the gang. And this is my first time doing a streamathon, so I thought instead of doing it live, because I'm just not sure if this is going to be long enough or too long, I'm going to make this into a premiere, and I will be chatting with you all in the chat room while this is playing. So I hope you enjoy it, and I'll just get into it and get started here about what I'm about to do and where we're going to go from this big blank sheet of paper. Excuse me. Now, I know that a lot of times this paper, this white expansive paper, really intimidates people. So I have picked out a whole bunch of these papers, just old books, old documents, and I love the different type of papers that these come on because they all accept paint differently, and this is a way that I create depth and color in a lot of my pictures that you can see that I have put on some of my POD products. So let's get started, and I'll start putting in the background. I'm going to switch this to fast motion because what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my gel matte medium, and I'm just going to affix everything to the background here. I've got it basically laid out where I want it to go, and when I've got it down, we'll talk a little more about it. So I'll be back in a bit. So I am back, and I have finished doing all of my outlines. I've added some doodles to the outside to bring in some color. I've added a little bit of doodling to her dress. Just wanted her to stand out a little bit more. Same thing up here, you know, just adding something to their clothing to kind of make them pop a little bit. So here we are. This is my contribution to the Valenzine's Streamathon. Thank you so much, Raul, for putting this on. Oh, and by the way, I was considering calling this First Date, but what do you think? Anyways, it is a date. It's what I was thinking of when I was thinking of Valentine's. You know, what do you do when you go out? You know, you go out for a little dinner. You know, maybe this is the first time he's gone out and having his Valentine's dinner with his sweetie. So I hope you enjoy this. I hope you like the process. I really like doing all these little doodly things, and I think it just brings a lot of interest to the picture. So thank you again. Please come and join me once more at my channel, and I believe that Devin's coming on right after me. I'm not sure because I haven't checked the list, and I am pre-recording this, so hopefully I'll get it right in the chat when I'm talking with you, and we'll see you guys. Bye now. So I've finished laying down the basic layer, the base layer. As you can see, this is an old card that I just decided I wanted to cut the hearts out of. And if you can kind of see, I don't know, a little bit of the reflection there. There's little tiny flowers on there. So I'm hoping some of this embossment will show up once I actually put some more color on here. These are all old papers. Just this is what the color has turned out to be, and now I've got a base point that I can start playing with my other pieces of collage. Now I like to use old magazines or books, things that are fine that can be unloved, but still have some really nice pictures or images in them. And especially in old magazines, fashion magazines, and any of the old Life type things, there are some great advertising pictures, and they're so much fun to play with because they tend to put people in odd poses, which, you know, is better than just standing there. So I'll show you some of the images that I have found that I might use in this spread, and I'll get to that in we'll get to that shortly. I'm just going to let this completely dry, and I'll get back to you when all that is done and we can start playing on this surface again. I'll see you in a little while. Won't be long for you, might be tomorrow for me. Okay, I'm back again. So this is somewhat dry. Pretty good dry. I'm gonna add some more water to it, but I'm not going to get any glue on my, and this is an old box, Neocolor 2s. I got these used a long time ago. I still have a lot of them. Now these are like crayons. You know, they're kind of waxy, but they're activated with water. Some people are gonna get driven crazy by the way I keep my stuff, but I like to mix my paints, and it just helps. So I'm just taking out a few colors here that I think I want in the background. I'm continuing with the Valentine theme, so I'm just adding into the background. Now I got the white out because I might want to take some of the intensity of this out, and I just want to scribble. Now these papers all actually react to the Neocolor 2s differently. Now I did put some matte medium on here, but you will see it will still react a little bit differently because I've scraped a lot of it off, and hopefully some of the paper still remains to be played with. Now I just want to kind of get some color in here in some places. I'm going to smoosh it around with a brush, that's for sure. I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to do with those hearts. I know I'm going to be putting some figures on here a little bit, so we'll see where this goes yet. But in the meantime, I will get my large water brush out. I haven't put any white down yet. I just put the pink and the red. I think I'm going to do a little purple too, just because I like purple. Let's see how that goes. I can always add anything else. Now I got some clean water. We're just gonna push some of this color around on my paper that I've got. I don't care necessarily where it goes. We're making a Valentine, so you know, let's get a good color background in there. Now I will take some of it off also, and if you can see, I'm just going to try and see if I can get rid of a lot of the actual scribble parts and let the actual crayon melt. I'll pull some of this color into those white hearts after I get it spread around down here, because I don't want them to have too much, I don't think. Well, I kept this on, not on high speed, because this doesn't generally take very long. So, let me see. I'm just getting a little bit of water. We can see, I can see some of the roses coming through. This is a nice pink toned heart now, not so white. I think what I'm going to do I'll give this a quick dry, but I might. Something like this right now. I just want to see how that's going to dry up. I want to see some blotchy colors in there. I don't want to have it all just solid pink. So I'm going to leave it like that, and we'll get back to it again once it's all dry. So I'm back again, and we're going to start with another layer. Now, where we left off is I had put some Neocolor 2s, which is water reactive, on here. And that's where you see a lot of this red and purple and pink coming from. Well, now I'm going to use some acrylic paint that once it's dry won't move, and I'm going to use some of my stencils. So I've got a heart stencil here, which I think is quite appropriate, and then I've got just some squares here, which I really like this stencil just because it gives it a little bit of angularity when we have a lot of curves going on. So I've also picked out a few colors that I think are going to be appropriate. Those are all my acrylic paints, and that's a mixture of Magic Fly paints and actually Artist Loft and gold paints. So there you go. I'm trying to use what I've got. So let's try a couple of heart stencils first of all. Now this brush is a really old brush. You can see I've already got paint on my hand, but you can see how it's quite stiff, and the bristles are great for just pounding. So it's a little moist, and I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to go with my darkest red first. I'm just pound a little on the side of the plate that I've got it set out here, and start applying some paint. Now this, I don't know what I'm necessarily covering up or not. Now you can dab or you can swirl. I'm just trying to get it down there. It doesn't have to necessarily be perfect. I like it when words and pictures show through. To me, that just creates more and more layers when you have things actually showing through. So I like that. Let's see, let's get it. I'm going to put a, let's just get more of that paint off. Maybe not quite so dark. Go with more of a metallic pink for a little bit. Let's see how this goes. Left too much water on that one. That's okay. It'll all come out, as we say, in the wash. I'm just trying to get marks on here, not necessarily. Okay, well, you see that was really too watery. I'm going to take my little cloth that I've got. Here it is. And if I don't really like it, I'm just making a background. So I can swoosh that and just let that color be. And I can add something else to that. I'll just let it dry a little more because there's still a lot of wet paint on there. And let's see. I added way too much water to that one. Let's see if I can get that same metallic pink. Maybe I'll use this other heart over here. Get that down. All right, that's better. These Magic Fly paints I haven't used for a little while. They're not as nice a consistency as Artist Loft. They're a little looser, But hey, they were on sale and they had a lot of colors and they were great to buy at that particular time for me. So like that. I think I'm gonna go see what I can do with a little bit of this and this together. And I just put some extra paint on there, a little bit of white, a little bit more red in with that pink that I already had on my brush. Lift that up. I'm going to go with some other things here. Let's clean this color off. I want to put some, I might need to put some black in here, you know, but they always say that black brings your, sets your picture down. It gives it a footing, you know, doesn't make things appear like they're floating. But instead of using black, I'm going to see if I can use a little bit of blue in some spots here. Get some just trying to move, get color moved around, get some shapes in there, create layers. Just flip that over, and we're going to do it this way. This is a vinyl stencil too, so I'm allowed to be a little rougher with it than most. Let's see. Got lots of red in there. I really think I need to get something dark in there, like a black or a dark blue. Let me see what I've got in my drawer. I just don't feel like it's enough. Or use up more of this blue here. Still want to spread a little more of that around. I'm just working that brush till all that paint is off. It's because this is the brush I do that with. Give it a little bit of a darker red there, maybe with the blue. Now that's not too bad, but I do think it needs a little bit of something else. There, it's getting there. I kind of like that. Lots of different layers happening now. I think I am going to go with a little bit of black though, so give me 1 second and I'll be right back. So I pulled some black out, and then I pulled this little bubble one out too, because I don't want to necessarily do a black heart or some black squares, but this works really nicely when you just want a little bit, because I'll probably put in some white bubbles at some point too. So let's just kind of see if we can just create a little more atmosphere. Yeah. Just random. I'll push it. Try and get some of these corals. Now I will be putting some magazine pieces along the edges, so some of this will get lost. So I don't have to worry about necessarily doing it right to the corner. But I do want to make sure that I've got everything covered that I want covered. Alright, yeah, that's giving us a little more of a bottom here, a little more ground, which is kind of what I wanted. That's good. I'm just going to do a little bit up here, and I think that will make me happy. And as long as I'm happy, I can move on. Just a touch. It's all I need, just a little bit more of the black. So I'm going to let that dry, and then what we're going to do is we're going to add the surround that I've picked out. I've already got some characters that I have laid together. I kind of know what my layout's going to be. That took me a little while. I couldn't do that on camera. Me choosing things takes forever. So here we go. This is where we've gotten to so far, and I hope you're liking it. I will be back in a little bit after this dries. It'll be only seconds for you, and we'll continue on. See you in a bit. So hey everybody, I'm back. Now this is all dry. Ooh, getting a little bit of glue on there. I didn't mean to. My next step now, and you can see, so I've got a base coat on here. It's on a mixed media paper. I've put in my papers, my printed papers. I've done some stenciling on here and added some more color just in the background. And now what I want to do before I put any of my main collage characters on here, I want to kind of do a bit of a frame. And I picked this trick up from, I believe her name is Tara Jacobson of Artsy Fartsy Life. And she was doing these types of mosaic tiles around her pictures. I really enjoyed doing it. I did that for a few of them. And this, I think, will be a fun technique to add to this particular Valentine that I'm making. I haven't told you yet the theme that I had for my Valentine. And I've been thinking of a collage theme kind of in the way of a first date. And I've got some paper dolls that will be coming up, and I will be adding them to this. Oop, don't want that one. I want to do a different color. I will be adding them to this. Now, I'm not going to worry too much about, how these go. I want to make sure I put down some different colors and not put necessarily the same color on top of each other. You can see they're all different shapes. Some I may overlap, some I may not, and I will go back and forth. I will be squashing all this down at some point. And, well, I guess I should also tell you what... I'm using some watered down matte medium to apply these. So to give me a little more working time. And what these are just backgrounds that I found advertisements of different colors of pink. A floral one. Put that guy there. And then I had some light pink. I just want to kind of get these tacked down for now so that they're in the right place. I'll make sure that they're all down really well before I'm done. Like this little guy's corner wants to come up. We'll fix him. And then this will all dry again, and we'll carry on. So instead of me yakking, I'll get this done, and then we'll get on to the paper doll portion of this. So I'm going to put this in high speed because this will take me a little while, and well, actually, I'll finish this up and I'll get right back to you. How's that? So there we go. I've got all of the border on there now, all nicely squashed down. I'm going to let it dry a little bit. And I just want to let you know, I save all of these things that come in the mail. I use these all the time, like, oh, they're like little cardboard credit cards or even plastic credit cards. Hotel, motel key cards that they give you to use these days. And you can either leave them in the room, or if you forget them in your pocket, they don't care. They got a ton of them and they just retag them. Keep these for your art. They're great for squashing your collages down, and they're free. So let me get this aside, and then I'll show you what I have for paper dolls. Actually, I'm not going to show you what I'm going to put on here yet. I'm going to show you how I do some of my paper dolls. And I've got one over here that I've got set aside that I decided not to currently use in this particular collage. But here she is. Now, as I said earlier, I really like to use old catalogs, old books, old magazines. And this is like 1960s Good Housekeeping or something. This was from a cat book, and I take their heads off. Sometimes I take their eyes, and I will give the cats human eyes. But these are a little small, so I'm going to just keep my cats in their shape. I'll show you the ones that I've decided to use. Now here we've got a couple. So where's the other fella? My theme for Valentine's is going to be first date. He's on a first date with this lady. There's the waiter. They're out for dinner. But we'll get to what happens with these. But you can see I did them all the same way. I cut out the bodies that I want. This actually right here was a subscription to a magazine. I just happened to like the couple that were sitting there. So I cut off their heads, and then I cut down into like their clothing so you can get a neckline. And then I put tabs on the bottom of the kitty's necks. Now this guy, I wanted his little hand to stick up like he's waving to her. But they're all done the same way. You just kind of give them a long neck, and you can glue those to the back of whatever doll you're doing and make them into something else. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed that little bit. I will be back when that paint has dried, and then we'll start or not the paint, when the matte medium has dried, the glue, and we'll continue gluing down these guys onto that base. So back in a bit. Hey there, so I'm back again. So here's my basic layout that I'm going to have for what I'm calling first date. I have to glue all these down yet. They're just loosely laid in the composition that I want to have them in. I suggest that you guys play with this. This part of it takes me a very long time to make up my mind, and I did not want to subject you guys to my meandering thoughts and total silence while I figure things out for myself. So I'm going to get this all glued down, and then we'll get back, and I promise the next bit, which is where I'm going to be doing some outlining and coloring in, I'll be talking to you then. So let me finish gluing all this down. You know how that works, and I'll get back to you one more time. Thanks. So I am back again. Now this is all nice and dry, and the reason I let it dry is that I'm going to use some alcohol markers on this. I'm going to use some Poscas, and the worst thing that you can do with any of your pens of any sort is actually get them into any kind of wet gel matte medium, because it coats them and then they're just, you can't use them anymore. So anyways, I'm going to be using some of my, I have Ohuhu alcohol markers and Posca paint pens, and maybe just a straight Sharpie outliner that I might do. But the reason I'm doing this now is when I look at this, I find everything very flat. There's no background, there's no foreground, and I've built a background into it. So what I want to do is I want to kind of deepen, make it look we've got some dimension in that, and I do that by adding color to a bit of this background and doing some outlining. I'll be also outlining and doing some decor on the mosaic, but let's get started, and I'll try and keep talking while I do this. I am not used to talking to myself while I do all this work, but anyways, I did pull out a couple of pens here that I wanted to use. Now I've got the Cool Gray 2 and the Cool Gray 4 out of this pack of Ohuhu. I'm thinking this might be a little too dark, this one. But this might be a little too light. So I'm going to try it with the light color first, just to see if I can get a bit of a background. And I'm going to start up here. Now, she's in front of this square. This is a lady cat. So I'm just going to kind of darken this. It'll give the impression, and actually that's just about enough. And you can see that most of this isn't moving now because it is acrylic, and I have put matte medium over it. Might be a little down here that might move with some of the watercolor still, but this is just a very almost invisible. You can see the difference between that and this. Just getting that to shade, and some of that's even just shading the painted edges, or not painted, the cut edges of the paper is what I wanted to say. I'll still be doing some outlining in that on this yet. That's maybe not coming out quite as dark as I would have liked it. Maybe what I'll do is see if, is the pink going to be a bit too much? No. The pink might work. Might be a little too bright. So while I let that still dry, or not dry, that's the fine point. See, I'm experimenting while I'm playing with my colors here, and the one thing with alcohol markers on top of gel matte medium is you can kind of spread it around. So I haven't quite found the color that I want to put back there. Maybe a light blue, or maybe this mauve shadow. This might do. Yeah, that's just, you can see it's just a touch darker. And it's got a bit of color in it. Now, it might be hard for you guys even to see that there's a difference, but I can see the difference. I just want to kind of get back in here. I'm going to be coloring over top of these. And one thing I should also mention with magazine papers, and I'm noticing it here, is when you use the gel matte medium and you do some scraping, especially on like really old magazines like this one, the color can get lost a little bit as you're scraping. So I'm going to be going in here and actually replacing some of that color too. So let me just get some of this background darkened. And then we'll go on with some of the other plans I want to do. I'm going to give this give him back his suit, and I'm going to give him a suit arm and a cuff. I'll be doing that with my Posca paints. So it does look like he has a suit jacket on. And I'm going to darken this in behind her. Now, I didn't cut out this piece of paper on her because this was just so fine that I hesitated to cut anymore. Now you can see a little more of the purple there, and that'll blend those guys into the background a bit. I'm just going to shut the door. I hear my son coming home, so give me 1 second here. There we go. He's more than likely to turn on the TV or something, and then I'll have to worry about a whole bunch of stuff having to get out. So let's darken this up and behind. I'm going to leave it a little lighter up at the top. There. This in here. Just, you know, you do this to separate, or I do this to separate my characters from the background a little bit. And you can see it's creating a little bit of depth already. Here. Here. He needs behind his head. She needs more up there. I'm just gonna give a little more on this side. I'm not trying to color it all in. Leaving some of it open. And I think let's just give this an edge here down by his body, because that's going to create a bit of a shadow also. So we'll do that. And here. Okay. So roughed that in. And then I think the next thing I want to do is maybe some outlining with my Poscas. Or actually, I should probably fill these babies in. Turquoise green light. That one? No. Turquoise ink blue, I think, is the one I want. Yes, that's the one that'll fill her color in. I'm going to try and fix her dress a little bit. And you know, if it's not exactly the same, you just paint it all in. And since I'm doing it with alcohol markers, this won't move after this. Now, if it just comes out as a big green blob, I can always make stripes and patterns, and I may yet still do that. And the fun thing about when you put the alcohol markers down and you put Posca paint on top, the Posca will pick up some of the alcohol underneath and react and become a similar color, not exactly the same, but similar color. So I'm just gonna fill her dress in. And I do try and color it in sections so that you can kind of tell, you know, like that's one finger and that's another finger and that's a finger and that's a finger goes there and then the thumb is there. And you try and follow the form of what's underneath, and you will probably be able to tell that still exists after you get your pen in there. Now there's some nice gold blingy jewelry that she's got on. I might even give her a necklace, and all that can be done in some of the final touch-ups of the details with gold and things like that. Her dress down here needs a little bit of a touch-up too. You can see where the heart went underneath, and this line, you know, this paper is so thin. That's the other thing, is when you get all these layers and you try and squish them down, and the hard edge does make it more difficult, but I like to do the outlines, and I think that I can, you know, I can use that in what I'm doing. So there, that her dress is a lot better than what it was. Now his suit jacket, I need to give him a white collar, which he does. It looks kind of yellow though right now. So we'll fix that. White collar. Now there's I got a Posca pen at the moment with the white. It's got a thing, and then he's going to have a cuff. So I'm going to give him a little bit of a shirt cuff that'll come out of his suit jacket. And then I'm going to give him a suit jacket where his arm exists. Now I do have a gray Posca pen, but I want to put this in alcohol first. Because if I don't have to use the Posca on this, I think it would just be a better match in the end to his suit jacket, which I'm just going to fix here with this again. Just get rid of all those little paper marks down here. Bring that here. This other lapel. And if I have to, I'll go over that black, cut out a little bit more. That seems to be getting, that's better. That shows him more the way I want him. Oh, and here, the poor waiter over here. Now, what color do you... Most waiters wear black. So I'm going to change his outfit so that he is wearing black. Okay, not that end. I should use this end at the moment instead of his brown. And then I'm going to give him a nice apron too. But you see how you can just use what you have. This guy looks like he was doing some home cooking. Oh, maybe some barbecuing is what he was planning on doing, though I don't know why anyone would barbecue in a suit. Maybe that's what they did in the 60s. Now, I was alive back then, but I don't remember anybody barbecuing with a suit on. He's even got a pocket handkerchief in there. Let's just give him this jacket that's black. And he'll look a little more appropriate for a waiter. Just this is his pants down here. Okay, and maybe we'll do a red and white striped, red and white striped, here it is, apron. So I think what I'll do is I'll make the red outline, because he already has a red outline. I'll use the fine point on this. Maybe they went out for spaghetti to an Italian restaurant, you know, like the Disney dogs, Lady and the Tramp, except mine are the cats. I'll have to color in that little bit of background there that I missed. Now I'm going to make the stripes so that they run up and down. That's his waist, and you can see I'm kind of moving it over to define a little bit of a shape there. So I've got some nice big red stripes. Now let's get a little bit of Posca in there. I'm going to start over here. And look, just cover that all up. You might see a little bit of ghosts through there yet, but I can always put another coat on if I want. I'm certainly going to let it dry before I can do anything else. Just have a little piece of paper over here, make sure this Posca is still running. I could just as easily have done this with acrylic paint, but you know, the Posca is so handy because it's in a pen and you really don't have the messy cleanup to deal with. So since I'm working with pens, alcohol pens, certainly the Posca pens lend themselves to that. So there, he now has his red and white striped apron. Now his collar and his pocket kerchief look a little yellow, so I'm just gonna give them a little bit of a brighten. Shirt right there. You see, and if you color them separately, they do show up separately. I'm gonna give him a nice tie. There's his pocket kerchief, and there's the menu. I'll give the menu maybe a different color. Now it can stay white. Okay, so I got them done. Should I do his tie a little bit? Maybe I should give him a nice aubergine tie, which is a very dark purple. And it'll look a little bit different than the red, than the black. Okay, now I see his little arm is still showing through, so I'm going to give him another coat of dark gray. There we go. That's better. Now he seems to be just, oh, and the only one we have left is our lovely little princess up here. And this pink was too light. The cherry pink is too much. We'll go with the light pink. Let's see, maybe the pastel would be better. That's a little better. Just give her we'll give her whole sweater a light coating to kind of bring it all together. Similar that I did with the rest of the clothes. And then it'll just get rid of some of those white marks. And then if we like, we can add all sorts of stripes and dots and polka dots. And yeah, there's a long ways to go yet on this. Okay, so I've got the color embedded back into those items. The table and chairs, upside down perfume bottle, table, 2 chairs for my, and this is just a kind of a wall separation. They're in an alcove having their first date dinner. But what did I do with my mauve shadow? I neglected to drop a little shadow under here. On top of the chair. And it just gives it some weight in the end. Good, same down here. Okay. All right. That's where we go here. Now I want to start doing some of my outlines. Now, I'm not sure if I want to do it in alcohol or I think I'm going to do it in Posca. Yeah. And I'm going to start with some of my squares. Should I get the thick Posca? Excuse me while I look for my larger pen. In black, I don't know that I have it. No, I do not. I have gray. Well, we're going to stick with the black. And I hear my cat at the door. So I'm going to let him in. Just give me 1 second, and then we'll finish. Maybe he'll come visit. What do you want? Hi. Come on in. He likes to lie on my desk while I work. So we'll see if he comes up to visit. Hopefully he won't get in the way. But he usually comes in here looking for some kind of treat, which I will give him. There you go. All right, let's get on with this. So I hope everybody's having a good day and they're enjoying the streamathon. As I said at the beginning, I'm really chuffed, really, excited that I was able to share with you guys, being invited. And yeah, I'm sorry, I'm going to turn this around a bit because that just doesn't work, me trying to do that way. Turn your art so you can get better angles when you need to. And I think you can see what I'm doing. I'm not off the screen, am I? I don't think so. Not quite. I'll try and keep it on screen while I'm talking. Well, that didn't go quite straight, but hey. We'll just make that a little thicker. Like we're just having fun. Right? We're just having fun. And if things don't quite turn out, it just doesn't matter. Because we're enjoying ourselves. And I think that's the whole point. Is that, enjoy yourself while you're doing this type of thing. I find it very relaxing. I'll, sit and listen to some show or whatever while I'm doing this. It's kind of hard to watch anything, considering you got to use your eyes to know where you put stuff. But, yeah, I'm having fun with this, and I hope you guys are too. So as I continue to go around my squares here and outline them for my border, trying to be mindful of time because I really don't know how long all this stuff takes me, and I know I only got an hour. So all that boring stuff in before I was trying to keep short. Let me finish the outline, and I will be outlining also the characters here, and then we'll start adding some more stuff. But you can see how that's kind of coming together a little bit more, and let me come right back. Okay, well, I've got it all outlined now. Now I'm going to do a little more doodling with my Posca pens. and do some decor on here. But you can see how I've done it with, you know, with the apron and with his arm, just adding back the color that's missing. And I think I'm running out of time here. I I hope that you all enjoyed this. I will come back real quickly once I am done with this and show you the finished product. But again, all I'm going to do is do some doodling on the outsides and on the insides with my Posca, and I'll get back to you when I've got that done. See you in a little bit.